Hey, what is up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here tonight as we are talking about the WWE Royal Rumble 2017 coming up right around the corner. This is honestly going to be a very big show for WWE. Honestly, when they rolled out and they announced the Alamo Dome for the Royal Rumble, it was announced that this was going to be a monumental Royal Rumble, one that you would remember for a lifetime. Definitely you can see with the influence of NXT as well as the Royal Rumble with Monday Night Raw. You know, they're emphasizing the major pay-per-views of the year to be WWE, WrestleMania almost experiences where fans will travel in from around the country to make sure they're able to see the biggest matches on the biggest stages. Definitely trying to bring in as much money in San Antonio, just like they did in Toronto, which was a very big success over Survivor Series weekend. They're probably going to be doing this, with Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, my guess, Survivor Series from here on out, using sort of the building blocks of what made WWF a greater success as they are now, expanding out to go global with more worldwide things, like they just pulled off the big UK tournament, which I saw none of, and it is what it is. I wasn't able to watch any of the Cruiserweight Classic either when that came out, and that was great stuff over the summer, but I just didn't have time, and it is what it is. But I've always kept up with the main product, even though sometimes we're all watching Monday Night Raw, and it is what it is. We've had too much, and we just tap out is a better way to put it, and say I gotta go. I'll see you later. I'll catch the highlights. When you look at the card, of course always are going to have the Royal Rumble match as the big main event. I think honestly they stacked this up with the two biggest WWE Championship matches that you could have. AJ Styles versus John Cena, as well as Roman Reigns going up against Kevin Owens. Both of those matches, I honestly see title changes coming. I think that John Cena having the championship, although it wasn't emphasized, John Cena winning his 16th title as much as I thought it was in the past when he had championship shots, that I didn't really think was really going to happen. I just didn't think that John Cena was going to win his 16th championship at Battleground or something like that. He's been on the chase for this, Ric Flair tying title for a long time. But it could happen. Honestly, to me, I honestly always thought that John Cena's quest would come with him winning the Royal Rumble match itself, which even though he has a WWE Championship match, we've seen guys pull double duty before, so maybe he could lose by the club, who has a title shot. Maybe they lose that title shot during the pre-show to Cesaro and Sheamus, and they just flat out jump ship to SmackDown, joining up and reestablishing the club on SmackDown with AJ Styles, and that's how they're able to overcome John Cena. They've never really broken their alliance, even though they're on different shows. Gallows and Anderson, they're still the club. AJ Styles still wears attire that says the club on it, so even though they're split by Raw and SmackDown, they're still very much together. I'd like to see Cena win it at WrestleMania, but I'll take him winning it at the Royal Rumble as well. 70,000 fans, if they're able to pull it off inside of the Alamo Dome yet once again. I haven't heard WWE say that this is, been named a sellout, but it could be, I guess. But for me, what sort of knocks this is a show that, I definitely know I'm going to sit down and I'm going to use the fast forward button. I haven't seen my schedule, but I think, like a few of the Royal Rumbles of Royal Rumble past, I'm not going to be able to watch it live. I don't have a day shift. I have a 12 to 9, which means I get off an hour after the Royal Rumble will end. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. I can't believe how many people are texting me right now. I apologize. But, hey, we'll see what goes down with that. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. I think that honestly, Roman Reigns having the championship is the road that they want to have on the road to WrestleMania. Hopefully, that does not mean Braun Strowman will win the Royal Rumble, but honestly, anything can happen. Even if Roman Reigns wins the championship, Braun doesn't have to win to become the #1 contender. We honestly could see a person from SmackDown winning the Rumble, like The Undertaker, and that could mean that Roman could find his #1 contender down the road. From here, honestly, what knocks this card for me a little bit is the fact that it's such a long show, with the Royal Rumble being expanded to 4 hours, as well as having 2 pre-show matches on the kickoff show with Cesaro and Sheamus going up against Gallows and Anderson, as well as Sasha Banks going up against Nia Jax. To me, honestly, if you think about it, I believe it's the 2011 Rumble. It starts off with Edge versus Dolph Ziggler. I honestly can't remember what was the Raw WWE Championship match, but there was just those 2 matches. I believe a Women's Championship match with Beth Phoenix. For some reason, I think Kelly. And then they just had the Rumble. 4 matches. Over and done with. Easy and out. Everybody's only here to see the Rumble, honestly, in the long run. Just get it over with and knock it out. That's the way I would like to see it go down. But, Sasha versus Nia Jax is being built up as a big, Nia is trying to prove herself on Monday Night Raw that she really is a giant, that she really is a badass. She deserves to be in the WWE Women's Championship title hunt. Sasha Banks is trying to establish herself as she beat Charlotte twice, but she didn't hold the title for that long. She won it on Raw. She lost it on the pay-per-view. She hasn't really been able to establish herself as a real Women's Championship champion, a threat, like somebody who could hold down the fort. Yeah, she could pull off an upset, so she's trying to pull it off and show that she is one of the baddest mothers on the planet. I'm not ready to say I've given up on Gallows and Anderson. They haven't won the championship since they debuted. They were one of the most badass teams. A member of the Bullet Club in New Japan. They hold those titles, I think, twice, maybe 3 times over there. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because the New Day had such a long run with them, holding the belts the whole time they've been there. I really thought they would beat them earlier, but they decided that they were going to go with them breaking the record. I'm not saying it's now or never, do or die, but we're getting close to the point that every time Gallows and Anderson have gone for the championships, they've come up short. To me, honestly, the SmackDown 6-woman tag doesn't make any sense. You have Mickie James debut on SmackDown, helping Alexa Bliss win the steel cage match against Becky Lynch, and then you don't use her in a singles match or even in a tag match. You use her in a 6-woman match. What did you bring her back for? Honestly, in my mind, if you bring her back, you want to emphasize on her talents that she has, and you want to have another kick-ass match like Mickie had against Asuka at NXT Toronto. You don't hide her in this match with everybody. I'm not taking anything away from Becky, Nikki, or Naomi. 3 great talents there, but I just don't see why you put her in here. The Cruiserweight match, Rich Swann against Neville. I'd be really surprised if Neville didn't win. Charlotte versus Bayley. Everything has pointed to the fact that Bayley is going to be beating Charlotte here at the Royal Rumble. Honestly, in my mind, I love Bayley. I really became a really big Charlotte supporter. I would love to see Charlotte keep the championship and Bayley be on the hunt a little bit longer. I'm not going to be one of those people who says that Bayley doesn't deserve the championship because she hasn't been on the main roster long enough. I think that honestly, her character is somebody who's not going to win the championship on her first shot. It's somebody that's going to, have to defy the odds and prove to the people that she deserves to be on Monday Night Raw. She has to go after that title a few times before she's finally able to put it over and, win the big one, whether that's on the WrestleMania stage or on a different pay-per-view. As long as it's not on Monday Night Raw, I don't care. It doesn't have to be on WrestleMania. It could be on Battleground or anything else. I'm just not sure that this is a place for it. But the Royal Rumble coming up around the corner, going to be here on Sunday. We're going to go over all the matches and talk about them all. So we'll see you in the next video. I will honestly tell you that I have no business talking about the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match between Rich Swann and Neville. I will come on here and tell you that every night at my work, I freaking explode with glee singing all night long at the grocery store when it comes on the overhead radio. My favorite is when it comes on and I'm in the bathroom taking a leak and I just explode. I just start singing it as loud as I can and I don't care. Rich Swann wrestling for PWG down there in Reseda will always be one of my biggest wrestling regrets that I've never been able to see a show. My good buddy Josh honestly sent me a tweet today asking me if he wanted, if he could buy me a ticket to PWG's next show because he wants me to go that bad. And he knows that I talk about it all the fucking time. I think he watched my Bullet Club Cody Rhodes unboxing. I guess I should link that down in the bottom in case anybody missed it. But he knows I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan, and Cody's going to be wrestling on the next PWG show. But, as much as I love Rich Swann, I just don't love the fact that 205 Live is a wrestling show that I've paid no attention to. I've seen some funny shit out of it. I saw the duel between Daivari and Gallagher. I've seen a match here or there, but for the most part, to me, honestly, when I saw the guys wrestling the Cruiserweight style on Monday Night Raw, it didn't really jump at me that was anything different than what the normal guys were doing on Raw and SmackDown. A lot of the guys on 205 Live seem to be the same size as a lot of the other guys that are wrestling on Raw and SmackDown. To me, honestly, it's almost like they made a second developmental. There's NXT, there's 205 Live, and that builds up the guys going to Raw or SmackDown. I know that the 205 guys are already on Raw, which doesn't make any sense. But to me, honestly, everybody was screaming, why aren't they putting Neville in these matches? Why aren't they putting Neville in these matches? They've already they've already built Neville up. I know that he's coming back off of the injury, and it was almost like creative didn't have anything for him, so he was just sitting on the sideline. So, yeah, put him in the little guy matches. But, we've already seen Neville beat Wade Barrett. We've already seen him beat, I think Neville beat Sheamus in a big match. He's the guy that's won big matches against big guys. It's almost like when Rey Mysterio beat Kevin Nash. And they never really elevated him up the card. He never really started fighting heavyweights, even though he was a badass. It took him going to WWE, and then everything that happened with Eddie Guerrero for Rey to win the World Heavyweight Championship, which then sort of put him in an upper echelon to where he was able to have matches against guys like The Undertaker and Kurt Angle and Randy Orton, and they were able to show off how fucking badass he was. I know that if they don't have 205 Live, they don't have a spot for all of these wrestlers, and so it's a show. It makes the network seem more valuable because of the fact that they have NXT, they have 205 Live. Those are must-see shows, like Talkin' Smack, that you have to have the network to do it, so people pay the $10 and they feel like they're getting, first-run television. That's worth it, but I haven't tuned in. In this match, I'd be very surprised if Neville didn't beat Rich Swann. I can really see him moving into the role of being the deviant heel on top of this division. They've already made stars out of Cedric Alexander, out of TJ Perkins, definitely Gallagher, as well as Daivari getting so much time. You can tell that the guy on Monday Night Raw, I believe his last name was Ali, was the first time I saw that guy. That backwards 360 moonsault deal is going to be a big deal. It reminded me a lot of Evan Bourne on WWE Monday Night Raw in 2009, 2010, before he moved to ECW and just got buried and we never saw him again. Evan Bourne came from ECW and then he moved to Raw. Then he got injured And then he got, okay, that injuries took down Evan Bourne. It wasn't getting moved to ECW, but it is what it is. They made that commercial, Evan Bourne being the ECW, World Heavyweight Champion. So you could tell that honestly was in the works at some point. Why they released it, I don't know. But in this match, I'm going to be picking Neville to beat Rich Swann, even though I'll be singing all night long when Rich Swann comes down to the ring. I know that it would cost money, but it's a missed opportunity. Lots of guys out there, but just isn't a show that I watch. Today here on Tuesday, well, today is Wednesday, fuck it. But they added a new match to the WWE Royal Rumble. This would be a women's tag, converted of 6 women from the SmackDown women's roster. To me, honestly, this looks like the most unvaluable match on the entire show, including the pre-show matches. To me, honestly, I know that SmackDown has been, to me, honestly, the better women's division. I know that, Sasha, Bayley, and Charlotte are 3 of the most popular and most most talented women in WWE. But honestly, the feud that Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss had, to me, honestly, really blew it out of the water. Everyone looked at the SmackDown's women's roster when the draft happened and just basically said that Becky Lynch was given her own, playground to rule over, but not really have anybody to have blockbuster matches. We haven't even really seen Eva Marie since her suspension do anything. I don't know where she's been. She was supposed to be a main player here on SmackDown, coming out after the draft and really, setting the tone. I was really surprised that she wasn't part of the title picture right off of the bat, but it is what it is. They came out and sort of said that her suspension was bullshit, but it was against the policy, so it is what it is, so it had to stand up. And I thought that she was going to be back, and I haven't seen her do anything. I haven't even seen her post anything on Instagram. I must have unfollowed her or something like that, because that was basically the only way I was seeing her do anything. I thought that her run at NXT honestly blew it out of the water. But to get to the women that they have here, Nikki Bella, when she came back from her injury, showed that she was a SmackDown member. I think she returned at SummerSlam right after the draft. But all of these women, excluding Mickie James, who just debuted on there, has really shown that they really have something to offer. Naomi was able to beat Alexa Bliss at No Mercy when Alexa was the #1 contender. Nikki Bella had that awesome feud against Carmella. Now Carmella is hanging out with Ellsworth, and I'm still trying to figure out what she gets out of this in the long run, because as of right now, they just look like Nydia and Jamie Noble just trashing it up in their big nets, dressing up and trying to become more, Jersey Shore-ish or something like that. I don't really know what they're really getting to. I guess they're just trying to make the Ellsworth character last as long as possible after it sort of overran its purpose in the Ambrose versus AJ Styles feud. Becky Lynch has held the championship. She's really built up Alexa to be a great champion. Alexa's been able to have great matches and show that she deserves to be on top of the SmackDown brand. Natalya, who's a girl who's been thrown out to the pasture a few times, has been able to show off that she really deserves to be at the top of the card and given a shot. Mickie James, to me, honestly, is the biggest surprise in this match. She's just had her debut on SmackDown 2 weeks ago, where she showed off that she was the luchador girl when the mask was pulled off, and it showed that she was the one that was helping Alexa Bliss, even though we all know there was a few different people underneath that hood different weeks. But in the end, she gets to be the Black Scorpion. If you don't know anything about the Black Scorpion versus Sting in WCW, look that up. It might be better than this Royal Rumble show. To me, honestly, Mickie just had her debut on the main roster. I know that she's not the champion, but she is a returning legend. If they were going to do anything, I think, honestly, Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch showing off the two biggest baby faces in a tag match against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James would have been a lot better. If you wanted to do a singles match, Becky Lynch versus Mickie James for costing her the title would have made even more sense, and maybe had Alexa come down and be in her corner as sort of like the valet. You helped me, I'm going to help you. And that would have got it over a lot more. I know that when they said Mickie James was going to be joining the SmackDown brand, I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be in a babyface role, sort of like the Dudleys when they came back with the nostalgia run. Mickie doing the same thing, having great matches, maybe not winning all the time, like the Tonka when he came back in 2006, 2007, somewhere in there on SmackDown. At the same time, they had Road Warrior Animal. They were there for the ride. They weren't there to win a lot of matches, but they were there for people to remember and stand up and cheer for the 90s and things like that. To me, honestly, this is the biggest waste of time. I wouldn't be shocked if this match is bumped down to the pre-show, because it honestly, to me, has pre-show written all over it. A lot like when they would bring in the 205 Live Cruiserweights and just, we got 6 guys, put them in a pre-show match, get them over. It is what it is. I'm going to pick the heels, Alexa, Natalya, and Mickie James to win this one. It makes more sense. Maybe they can even cause some chaos between Becky Lynch and Nikki, and sort of bring some friction between the baby faces and see what that is that pull together the SmackDown brand. To me, honestly, I was really surprised that they didn't do the Raw Women's Championship match of Charlotte versus Bayley a few months ago. I thought that, honestly, Bayley got a win over Charlotte on Monday Night Raw, and they were building up to the fact that they were going to do Charlotte versus Bayley and sort of get Bayley over and exposed to the WWE main roster. Instead, they just sort of pushed her to the background. They didn't even do a 3-way. Between the 3 of them, they just went right into Charlotte versus Sasha one more time, and it sort of left Bayley as an afterthought, with Charlotte and Sasha having the blow-off match after their Iron Man match. What show was that? Was it on? I can't even remember. They had the second Roadblock, I think is what it was, and they did the blow-off and said they weren't going to be in the same discussion for a little while. I think that everybody thinks that Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha will be a 3-way at WrestleMania. I think, honestly, that sort of, builds you into when you're trying to draw up your dream WrestleMania card. You just sort of look and see that they did the 3-way at last year's WrestleMania, and it was a real big success with Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. That, hey, just do it again and get as many girls in there as you can. I wouldn't be surprised if, because they have 2 different brands and they have so many girls really flying high, I just got done talking about the SmackDown women's division, that they do some sort of inter-promotional match. I don't want to see another like WrestleMania 25, women's battle royal that was won by Santino. I can't even remember what Santino's girl name was. Santina, maybe? I don't remember. But I don't want to see that, but maybe not do a Survivor Series match either, because we just saw that too. But something to sort of crown one woman to sort of push up the card. You've already got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, so maybe a Battle Royal doesn't really work, but they'll figure something out. You go back and you think about WrestleMania 26 and their mixed, or they're not their mixed, but their tag match that just had everybody hitting their finisher one after one. I thought that was a really fun match until Vicky Guerrero went up to the top rope and had her WrestleMania moment. It wasn't my favorite one. But Bayley really has gotten over the fact that, she was just a few years ago, before going into wrestling school, a real big, huge wrestling fan. If you go back to NXT with a feud with Sasha Banks, they pushed over how much Sasha and Bayley both wanted to be wrestlers more than anything. They both wrote high school essays about their future in professional wrestling and dreaming of working in WWE, having great matches on big stages, and boom, there they were. Charlotte tried to use that against her, and to me, honestly, WWE knocked it out of the park by getting Bayley over, showing the pictures of her in San Jose, meeting John Cena, meeting Bret Hart, meeting other, real big names in the business, as well as people that she shares a locker room with now. Showing that she really wants to be here. She's not a model that John Laurinaitis picked out of a magazine and said, hire this one and teach her how to wrestle. She's somebody who really put in the work, as well as, put in the money to go to wrestling school, to really learn to deserve to be there. I don't think this is the time that Bayley is going to be winning the championship. She's going to be the champion of Raw sooner than later. I just don't think that this is the stage and the story that WWE wants to tell. So for prediction purposes as well as gambling purposes, I'm picking Charlotte to beat Bayley and build something down the road. But I had forgotten how awesome the Raw championship match was last year between Becky and Charlotte, where Becky came up short, but then Sasha came down and challenged Charlotte, sort of stepping out of Team Bad and saying that she deserved to be in the forefront and, put the Banks statement on Charlotte and really stamped herself as a main eventer. Good shit. Looking for something again this year. I think that honestly, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns with Chris Jericho in the shark cage above the ring is honestly the biggest match that WWE could do for the Royal Rumble. Trying to eclipse selling out the Alamo Dome in 2017, so many years after the first time we did it with Shawn Michaels, as well as Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart, back in the I guess you could say that's a pre-Attitude Era. We didn't have DX throwing up the crotch chops or anything like that yet. They weren't there, but it was right up around the corner. But to me, honestly, one of the negatives about having this match is because of the Raw roster. Besides the fact that you've got Brock Lesnar and you've got Goldberg showing up from time to time here and there to spike ratings, as well as they used Shawn Michaels, even though they didn't use him in any storyline that was going on at the time. The Raw roster for the main event scene is really dim right now. You've got Seth Rollins not even really in the main event picture. For some reason, they don't really want to seal the deal. I guess they're trying to save Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins teaming up to sort of say that the Shield reunion is saved for a special night. The Raw main event roster, definitely on the heel side, is very, very weak. Raw always being the number one A brand. You've seen that they're hitting the panic button a lot, giving us the biggest match possible on Monday Night Raw, with it being, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, or Roman Reigns versus Chris Jericho, or even Roman Reigns versus Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, trying to, pull a big rating with a big main event. To me, honestly, it's got to the point we've seen this match so many times in so many different, circumstances, that now here we are at the main event, and everyone knows what the finish is going to be. They might have a really good match. Roman goes out there and tries his best every pay-per-view. People boo him because it's the thing to do, and it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, go back and think about the Monday Night Raw, the match where Roman lost the United States Championship a week ago last Monday. I mean, the second that match ended on Twitter, everyone tweeted, fucking awesome match, really fucking delivered. And then almost instantly tweeted, oh fuck, you know what that means about Roman Reigns in the Rumble? That Roman's going to, win the championship. I think that honestly at this point in Roman Reigns' career, I would love to see Roman turn heel. I understand why Roman's never going to turn heel. Roman Reigns is probably going to have that sort of essence around him that John Cena has until his dying days in WWE. That it's the guy that you want to see turn heel so bad, but WWE's just got their head stuck in the sand that they need to have a number one main event guy who's a babyface that can go out there and kiss babies and hug fat chicks, that they need Roman to never turn and go in that other direction. John's never done it. People have thought that for years, this is the time that you need to step up to the plate and give the people what they want, and they continue week after week to not do it, and that's why they're stuck in this spot where Roman Reigns is going to win the Universal Championship. I guess this would be the first time him winning the Universal title, but it'll be his fourth? Fuck, how many? Okay, he won the title when I think he beat Owens at the Survivor Series, got cashed in against Sheamus, beat Sheamus, lost to Triple H in the Rumble, won the title at WrestleMania, lost it at Money in the Bank. I'm doing better than I thought I was going to do. This will be his fourth, I guess you can call it, World Heavyweight Championship. Fourth big belt. Best way to put it. And it's going to be another run that no one's really going to remember. He got the belt at WrestleMania last year by beating Triple H in the main event, closing out the show. And by June was an afterthought. Just, there he was in the back. He had that suspension. He put over Finn Balor to set up Royal Rumble, He lost to Finn Balor to set up SummerSlam, and from there went into a feud against Rusev that lasted forever and a day, and nothing really came out of it. Roman has great matches, but just doesn't really gain the fans' interest, and I don't really know why. He's done everything that he could do to Owens. He's done everything that he could do to Jericho. It's time to finally just rip the cord. We all know he's winning the title, and everyone suspects that since they love each other so much, and we've seen the hints that they've slowly started to get, upset at each other, that Owens versus Jericho is going to be a match at WrestleMania, where I guess it's now being said that Owens would beat Jericho, and Jericho would sort of disappear for his sort of summer hiatus, going off to be a rock star, which it makes sense. I mean, his band sells records, it sells tickets, it's able to draw. Go out and chase your dreams. Cool yourself off for a little bit so that people really want you. I've always said that Jericho is probably one of the smartest guys in wrestling. He's taken hiatuses to sort of leave when they were sort of trying to cool him off and not make him the main guy. And I believe it was when Cena got injured, they brought him back because they didn't have anybody else. They had to pay him handsomely. Got to the point where they didn't need him anymore, took off. And then they hit the panic button every once in a while and bring him back. And like he is right now, he's the heel, but he's the biggest babyface that they have. So, it makes sense for Jericho versus Owens to be a match. I don't know what they do with Roman once he wins the title. It's been said that Braun Strowman could win the Rumble and they could have Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. They're building Braun up for a reason. Something has to come out of it. Hopefully it's not going to be a Gene Snitsky-like push where they push Snitsky to the moon. Cena beats him and then all of a sudden, well, what's he worth now? And Snitsky's gone and just an afterthought. They built him up so much. Hopefully they really do something with him. As a backup, I guess you could do Goldberg versus Roman. The Battle of the Spear. To me, honestly, that feels more like a second-rate pay-per-view, not a WrestleMania main event. But Braun Strowman versus Roman doesn't really make much sense either. I don't know. Honestly, I think that Raw has a bigger shot at winning the Rumble than SmackDown does, especially with SmackDown having the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view next month, and 6 guys having a shot to be, they've said the champion is going to be in there, so 6 guys having a shot to become the champion. It doesn't make sense to really have 6 number 1 contenders and also have another number 1 contender winning the Rumble sitting in the sidelines waiting for it, but maybe the person who wins the Rumble decides they want to be in the chamber as well, so they have the championship. And if it's a heel, they could say, I'm going to win the chamber and then I'm just going to sit out WrestleMania and not compete. And everybody's like, oh shit, what's going to fucking happen? Not have a title match. You gotta be kidding me. But I really think Roman's going to win this. It's probably the easiest match to pick on the whole card. It builds up, speculation of what's going to happen in the Rumble. If anybody from Raw was to win it, there's so many guys in the Rumble. And only a few guys have storylines that connect to getting there. So, I mean, as of right now, Rollins is even in the Rumble. Everybody suspects he's going to have a match against Triple H. So, I don't know. There's not that many doors open other than Braun Strowman if Roman is your champion. So, maybe it's not the best thing in the world. So, we'll see. WWE always has a master plan, and we'll get down to seeing what goes down. Oh man, the big one. Here we go. AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. This match is going to be freaking awesome. This is going to be a great match. I've heard that AJ's beat Cena 3 times. I honestly can only remember them having 2 matches. If they had a third one on SmackDown and it snuck by me, I'm not quite sure. I know about the SummerSlam one and the other pay-per-view one where Cena took off the Never Give Up armband and left it in the ring. I guess he beat him for a third time with that No Mercy 3-way, but I don't think they count the 3-way because it's the 3 of them, but I think Ambrose was in there as well. But those might be the 3 matches that they've had, but AJ has defeated him in all 3 of those matches that I've thought of. To me, honestly, Cena's going to have to win that 16 title sooner than later. I would love it if he won if he won it at WrestleMania. As of right now, the only way that he could do that is if he lost this match, somehow entered into the Rumble and won it, or he could just, well, the Elimination Chamber match is a championship match as well. So if he's going to win it at Mania, he can't do it there. Maybe he just rides it out and becomes the number 1 contender between the Chamber and WrestleMania and then wins it that way. To me, honestly, I'm not quite sure. I mean, you don't have AJ Styles beat John Cena this many times and not have a payoff. To me, I can understand it. I mean, the match that I'm trying to get to in my imaginary booking mind would be Undertaker versus Cena at WrestleMania. That's the biggest match that I think that they could knock it out at the park. Definitely AJ versus Cena is going to be a great match at the Royal Rumble. And it's probably the biggest match that you could have. I haven't heard of them saying that the Alamo Dome is sold out. So I'm guessing they'll announce 70,000 fans are there, but to me, honestly, I'm guessing that they really haven't sold the deal out. Styles versus Cena, the promo that they had on SmackDown last night really stepped up the game of these guys going back and forth and being able to show that they really are truly the top 2 guys in WWE, and this is probably the biggest match. Other than the Royal Rumble match itself. Royal Rumble will always be the biggest match, no matter what match you put out there. But as far as bringing people to San Antonio, to have the Royal Rumble be a big destination match that people want to go to, this is a big one. I don't know really what to say about it. In this match, I'm going to be picking Cena to get the win over AJ, just because of the fact that Cena doesn't let somebody beat them this many times unless there is a plan. And to me, the plan doesn't line up to go to the Royal Rumble. The plan always lines up to go to WrestleMania. And it doesn't make sense for Cena to have the comeback match at the Royal Rumble and then have him lose and then also go on and lose the Chamber and then also go on and do something to become the guy at WrestleMania. I think that they're probably pointing at the Royal Rumble, thinking that, him tying Ric Flair isn't going to be the big one. It's going to be him losing this championship somewhere and then him winning the 17th. And the 17th will be the monumental title win that they will be able to, draw out. When is he going to do it? How is he going to do it? Maybe push to the fact that Cena's doing so many outside things like Saturday Night Live, the Nickelodeon Awards, the Guys' Choice Awards, the Oscars, the Emmys, making movies doing this, that, and the other, expanding the WWE brand as well as expanding the John Cena brand and becoming this huge monumental superstar. How is he going to be able to fit in to come back and show that he still loves wrestling and he's still the biggest, baddest guy on the block? When Cena made his return on SmackDown, he came out and he said, it's not the next generation, it's my generation. This is me to be able to show that I can still come back and I can still knock it out of the park. No matter how many outside commitments there are, I will always be a full-time guy no matter what they throw around. He has to sort of live up to that reputation that he built building up WrestleMania 28 with the whole Rock storyline of, this is, this is the guidelines. To being champion, you have to be here. You have to do Raw, you gotta do SmackDown, you gotta do the pay-per-views, you gotta do the house shows. And Rock was just in it to cash a paycheck. That's basically what he was doing. He was coming back to push the Rock brand. He had made some movies that, made a lot of money, but sort of hurt his brand. The Tooth Fairy, the Game Day, didn't really help. I thought that The Rock has made some really good movies, but it wasn't until he came back to WWE to build up WrestleMania 27 as well as build up WrestleMania 28 that he was able to jump on the Fast and Furious bandwagon. He wasn't able to jump on the G.I. Joe franchise and sort of build it on and on and on to where he is the biggest movie star there is on the face of the earth. It doesn't matter what he puts out. San Andreas, Mona, I went and saw it. They got my money. No, they didn't get my money because the chick at the register rang us up for Trolls. So we had to watch Trolls again, and then we snuck into Mona because that was the movie that we wanted to see anyway. So The Rock didn't even get the Breach family money, which is funny in the long run. But it still made a ton of money. Disney made money, Rock made money. Everybody wins in the long run, so it is what it is. But I still got to see the movie. It's probably the first Rock movie that I've seen in theaters that he's ever made. I got a lot of them sitting on the shelf over there on the DVD shelf that I've bought once they've come out, but I don't think I've seen any of the Rock's movies in theaters. He makes money no matter what. He's not wondering if Steve Breach is going to the movie theaters. But it is what it is. To get back to this one though, AJ's been a damn good champion. I mean, for the doubts that people had about him coming from New Japan as well as TNA, whether if he was too old, whether if his body was beaten up. If you remember right, the build up to the Wrestle Kingdom show against Nakamura was that AJ had a bad back. He was doing DDP yoga at the time, trying to get his body realigned. How much was he really going to be able to, move into WWE, wrestling almost on a nightly basis on Raw and on SmackDown? And besides for the fact that AJ got injured in his TLC match, which is a given. It's a fucking TLC match. Think of the bump that he took off the top of that ladder, falling off and falling to the floor so many times. He's got to get hurt. The only thing that hurt was a match against Ellsworth against SmackDown, which we got paid off 2 weeks later, and Ellsworth was at the point anyways that I don't think anybody really wanted to see him anymore as it is. Man, this is going to be a good match. It's hard for me to say that AJ is going to lose it, but I think he really is going to win it. I would put my money on Cena, but it's almost like that Packers versus Falcons game. I picked the Falcons, but it was hard to say because of the fact that how do you pick against Aaron Rodgers? AJ has really stepped up to the plate and won matches clean. He's won them dirty, with outside interference, but he's been able to show that he really is a great champion and deserves to be there. People have said that AJ's time on SmackDown is probably limited. I would love to see him be the Rey Mysterio, the Undertaker, the Kurt Angle, the guy who's, even Edge, the guys whose careers were made on SmackDown. Most of those guys, when they moved to Raw, were just afterthoughts. The only reason why they were moved to Raw is because Raw felt like it needed help to maintain being the A brand. So you bring over the biggest star from SmackDown. Yeah, it sort of freshens things up because they had been there so long. But, Rey, Edge, even Kurt Angle didn't really have the success that they had on Raw as they did on SmackDown. it's not like it's because it's the B brand, there's a lesser grade. Those guys stepped it up and really delivered it, and AJ deserves it too. I know that, you got to keep things fresh with limited rosters, with the brand split. There's so many guys to be there. It's hard to move guys around, but at this point, we've only seen AJ really have feuds against Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and John Cena off the top of my head. There's other established guys that can move into, if AJ's not going to be the champion, move into being that sort of, number 2 angle, or, if he's going to jump back into the title shot soon. I don't think Cena, once he wins the championship, is going to be holding it a long time with all of the outside things that John Cena does, as well as the fact that John Cena has proven that he's injury prone. So he'll be right back in that title picture if he stays on SmackDown. But from all the word I've heard, don't be surprised if he has to jump over and become a member of Raw sooner than later, because the fact that he's worth more. Because, yeah, he had the title matches against Roman after WrestleMania, but he's been able to show on SmackDown that this is a guy that really can deliver and blow it out of the park. So it's hard for me, but I'm picking Cena. I think Cena's getting the win at the Royal Rumble. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you. If you were keeping up with my videos that I was uploading yesterday, I was uploading the WWE's Royal Rumble 2017 pay-per-view preview, going through every match by match, and I think everyone could probably see that I ran out of gas. I uploaded a video for every match besides for the actual Royal Rumble match. And I'll be 100% honest with you. The reason why there is no video for the Royal Rumble until now is because I honestly don't have a pick who's going to win it that I really feel confident in. I thought that honestly when I was drawing up the plans for the Royal Rumble months ago, I thought this was a slam dunk that Cena would win the Rumble. And Cena would go on and face AJ Styles and win his 16th championship at WrestleMania. Instead, Cena comes back and challenges AJ Styles to a match at the Royal Rumble. And that sort of has thrown everything out the window. I sort of was thinking that Undertaker would return, come back, he'd win the Rumble, and then he would face Cena at WrestleMania, and I would get that WrestleMania dream match of Undertaker versus Cena. I don't really feel 100% sold that Cena's even going to win his match against AJ. So I got to look at the field and see who else is out there. Today I posted a tweet and basically say, I don't know who's going to win the Rumble, and this is one of the first years that I don't think I'm going to be able to pick the Royal Rumble winner. In years past, I picked Triple H last year. I believe I picked Roman the year before. I know I picked Sheamus the year that he won. I picked Del Rio in 2011. Honestly, to me, Edge was a real big surprise in 2010. But, the Rumble has always been something that I've always been pretty well able to see what's going to happen. I look at the online listing at WWE.com. As of right now, I believe they have 23 superstars listed as participants in the Royal Rumble, leaving 7 mystery slots, which might be filled by guys that are on the roster or might be filled by outside guests. Today, the spoiler, or not really spoiler, but tonight the mystery was solved with Kenny Omega basically saying that he was to stay with New Japan Pro Wrestling for at least one more year, and then next year was going to look at his options to see what is going down. He really wants to win the heavyweight championship, and New Japan sort of set a goal and be able to follow through with it. Kenny Omega took a chance after he was released from WWE to basically move to Japan and start in a very small wrestling organization, basically start all over and get retrained, and has built his way up to being one of the most, best wrestlers, leaving the Bullet Club and wrestling in one of the best matches of I was going to say the best match of 2016, but obviously it happened on the 4th of January. So it's easily, unless, I don't really even think that match is going to be forgotten about the way people talk about it, probably the best match of 2017. And one of the first shows of the year, setting the standard of what great wrestling is going to be. You have to live up to this even to be in the discussion of having the best match. Kenny's not going to be coming in, and he's not going to be doing that. So he's one mystery guy that's down. Of the mystery people that is out there, I've made videos talking about Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Samoa Joe, Ty Dillinger, lots of different people that I think might have a shot to be in the Rumble. And honestly, of the people that I think have a shot to win the Rumble, the only person that I can really think of is Triple H coming in and winning it. But then how do you get to Seth Rollins winning the championship to have where Triple H is facing Seth Rollins? Then why would Triple H, as the number one contender, want to fight Seth Rollins? Well, I guess he'd want to fight him to get the title off him, thinking that he's the one who has to do it. But even that doesn't even really make sense. To me, the biggest names that are in the Rumble this year are Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg, and Undertaker. I think that easily you can draw the lines between Brock and Goldberg are going to have another match at WrestleMania. It's cool that they're building up the Royal Rumble by using them, but I think they cancel each other out. That you pretty much think that they're not going to win. Maybe you give it to Goldberg as like keep the last hurrah going, and he beat Brock at Survivor Series. Now he wins the Rumble, but then for them to have their match, you got to put the title on Brock somehow. And just the same way that we were talking about, how do you put the title on Rollins a second ago? How do you put the title on Brock? We know that Roman is more than likely going to beat Kevin Owens at the pay-per-view. So do you just have a match at Fastlane and Brock beats Roman? But then how do you even say that Brock is the number one contender coming off the last match he was in? He would have lost at Survivor Series. So that doesn't make sense. So I don't think Goldberg's going to win. Brock winning means that Brock winning means that Goldberg has to find a way to win the championship. People have said that I'm sorry, I keep fucking this up. People have said that Bill Goldberg is going to fight at Fastlane. I think that the Arena has posted it on their Facebook as well as their Twitter, trying to pump up ticket sales, that Goldberg's going to be there and he's going to be wrestling. So if Brock wins, does just Goldberg get to beat Roman at the next show? Or do you have it where Kevin Owens beats Roman Reigns at the Rumble, and then Bill becomes the number one contender out of thin air? He fights Kevin Owens and he gets to beat him. At least that sort of has some back to it because of the fact that Goldberg and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho had their little segment on Raw a few weeks ago. So at least maybe that has something built up. When you look at the rest of the field that is out there, honestly, to me, Braun Strowman is somebody who's been built up on Monday Night Raw. I think of him a lot like a guy like Gene Snitsky, that a guy that's going to be built up only to lose and never be built ever again. To me, Braun Strowman is being built up to sort of pay back Sami Zayn and get Sami over. Sami got a big win against Seth Rollins. Somebody had to beat him, and it made more sense that if it was a babyface versus babyface match. I know that they don't really like to do those, but because of the fact that Seth Rollins got beat by a guy that I guess you would consider his friend, it stabs him in the back even more. But to me, Braun Strowman's probably going to get a spot in the Rumble where he gets to dump some people out of there. But I think Sami's the guy who's going to come in, hellfire, go right after Braun, and just beat him. And I don't really believe the stuff about backstage heat on Sami Zayn, that he's, I think that Sami is a great performer. I think he's a great wrestler. All around, I honestly think he's a great guy. And I don't work there. I'm not backstage there. But I just don't see any truth to that rumor at all that people said that Sami was out to get Sami over. I think that Sami's going to get 10 guys over before he gets himself over. And that's just the kind of person that he is. From there, Baron Corbin is somebody that they've been building up on SmackDown. He was the face of the Royal Rumble for a little bit after he threw his name in the hat. But then he went out and he lost a match to John Cena on SmackDown. Just a normal match on SmackDown. Got beat. To me, honestly, that knocks him out of contention. I know that you could say that that sometimes they make people lose to let them win down the road to set up matches down there. Where if Cena beats AJ and Corbin wins the Rumble, well, that doesn't make sense either, because Cena just be able to say, I already beat you once, I'll beat you again. Maybe in the past, if Corbin would have beat Cena in that match, which I really think should have happened. Ambrose got to beat him on TV. I don't know. Ambrose is your Intercontinental Champion. I'm really surprised that he's not having a match against a guy like Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's a guy that's being built up on SmackDown, super kicking the king. He's been fighting with Kalisto. He's been fighting with Apollo Crews. He's got a whole new attitude since he's gone heel, and he's this bad guy now. I really thought they were going to do Ziggler versus Ambrose for the IC belt, and I was ready to blow my lid about how we don't believe Ziggler to be an Intercontinental Champion anymore. After the fact that he had that run with The Miz and then lost the championship so fast, and it was like it didn't even really matter to him. No big deal. To me, honestly, the sort of pace they have Ziggler on, if they wanted to get more of a reaction out of him, they just should have the guy sort of disappear. Have the guy just flat out fucking quit and go home. Give him like a month or 2 months off of television. That way when he comes back, then he can have this badass attitude about being this bad guy. And it makes a lot more sense because of the fact that he can come back and say that, nobody sent him fan mail. Nobody, pleaded with him. Ziggler, you got to come back. When are we going to see you on television? He just became a normal guy, and he wants to come back and he wants to prove himself that he can really do this. Jericho, honestly, is a guy that I do believe has a shot to win the Rumble, especially if they're going to keep on with this whole thing with him and Kevin Owens soon building to a feud. Jericho could move to the forefront of the group with Kevin Owens losing the championship to Roman Reigns, and Jericho and Owens can sort of bicker back and forth about who's the top dog of the group. Jericho now being the number one contender. Owens, is he going to have his back the way that Jericho had Owens' back through all that time of saying at least we're the champion if one of us is the champion? Jericho took a back seat. There's been a couple times when he's sort of tried to push himself forward and trying to make himself look better than Kevin Owens, but for the most part, Jericho's been a pretty damn good friend. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. And then the rumor that I heard today from two separate people, when I sent out my tweet about not knowing who was going to win the Rumble, people were saying that the odds-on favorite as of right now, that the word on the street is that Randy Orton is going to win the Rumble. Nothing would bore me more. That sounds like a horrible deal. And then, basically they would have the chamber match for SmackDown, where they would have, I'm guessing Cena and AJ Styles would be locks. Bray Wyatt would be in there. I could see them putting Randy in there at the same time, even though he'd be the number one contender if he won the chamber. But they do shit like that. And then, two other guys to fill out the damn thing. And Bray would win the championship, which would be honestly a really big surprise. When they put these two guys together, I really thought this was an angle that was going to last 2 weeks. And then they would break up because of the fact that they paired together out of the middle of nowhere. I thought it was just Randy trying to fuck Bray Wyatt and pull one over on him. Instead, he really got with the group. He never really took the look of the Wyatts, but he basically became a member of the Wyatts. Fought for Bray Wyatt's love by, going after Luke Harper, trying to move himself to the front. But then out of the middle of nowhere, they lose the titles on SmackDown to American Alpha and sort of become, it is what it is, nothing. And to me, if they want to have Randy versus Bray, it seems like a match that would happen on any other pay-per-view. If they want to do it on WrestleMania, I don't know why you put it as the World Heavyweight Championship match. I know that it's the SmackDown B brand. It's not going to be the main event. It's not going to be the co-main event. And I think this is honestly a year that the Universal title isn't even going to be a big match on WrestleMania's card either. It might be like the third or the fourth biggest match on the card, but it's nowhere going to be near the top, and it's not even going to be debated if these matches are going to go in the main event slot. They're just going to be, it is what it is. Kind of like what WrestleMania 33 is turning out to be. But then again, you're looking at somebody who said WrestleMania 32 was going to be one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. So as of right now, the guy that I'm picking to win the Rumble is still The Undertaker, unless you take a real big mystery surprise of somebody that's not even named on the list. I think there's too many guys that just cancel each other out.